So, welcome to this episode of the Barrels and Business podcast, where we aim to bring you an hour or so of entertainment, talking all things water, ocean, and beach loving business owners, as well as tangible tips on how to scale your business, or at this time, because we are actually recording in the global pandemic, if you believe in it, but we're all in lockdown. We're going to talk about how can you go from surviving and slipping to thriving and really killing it. So my guest today is the epic John Abbott. John is an audience awakening specialist, a unique funnel builder for speakers and presenters, and he teaches people how to sell high-ticket programs and retreats. But most importantly, I find that John he's just a soul-led man. He is all about business for good. He's all about having the giving back, and he can talk us and share us through his giving model that he created as well during today's hour. But honestly, I've just beautiful, beautiful human that is helping other Humanity Plus ripple effect creators to really have more impact. So thank you for joining me again today, John. I am super grateful.
Me too. So cool to be back.
Tell me what I missed. What did I miss in that intro?
Well, we could go for another hour, but maybe we could just do that anyway. Nothing. I live here in Bali. I absolutely love adventures. I love life. That's why my swimming pool, as you can see, is inside of my house. That's my house. No doors.
I love it.
I live in nature. Nature lives in my home, and it's on a journey of self-discovery, and as we all are, and of course we're in probably one of the best times on the planet to be in self-discovery and self-evolution. So super happy to have this conversation with you.
I am stoked to have this conversation with you because you've really been helping businesses right now to pivot, to change direction, to stay on top, and to really help those who need to be touching humanity get the message out there and to serve. So what I would love to start with, though, is before we get into the real nitty-gritty teachings, let's do a little bit of the fun stuff first. So you are I'm going to call you a waterman / adventurer, bike rider. But I want you to share a little bit around the diving that you've been doing recently. So, because I've only just got my scuba diving certificate, and it was something I thought I would never, ever be able to do. I loved when you shared about what you're doing and what you've committed to being a every year event. Can you just talk us through that?
Well, yeah, for sure. So my commitment to self is actually every quarter having an epic event, an epic adventure that I do every quarter. And I've been tracking that all of last year. And some of those quarters I've done 2, which is even better. And that, it's at least taking 1 week off. And if you can take 2, even better. Well, we got to, at the moment, we've got to go self-quarantine for 2 weeks. So actually looking at a 2-week quarantine on a boat actually right now, and looking to.
Are you really?
Oh yeah.
Where? To your really, special dive spot?
Really inexpensive right now because they've got no clients.
Yeah.
So you can negotiate ridiculously amazing deals and give them some money and actually allow them to keep moving and do. And have an amazing adventure and experience. So
my gosh!
So
I felt blessed having this and being quarantined here, but really.
So the last trip I just did was it's like 5 months ago now, last year, and that went from we flew over to Flores, which is a little place, one of the islands. Here in Indonesia. We flew out to Flores, and then we jumped on a live-on-board boat, and we basically traveled for 8 days between Flores and a place called Wakatobi. And in those 8 days, we had about 10 of us on board, plus about 8 people who are just looking after us. We have food and tanks and the whole kit and everything else, and buzzing us in and out with the dinghies, and like we were just the support from the crew was unbelievable. Had the best food ever. I couldn't believe how well they catered for us. Besides the fact that they cater so much food, and you do get pretty hungry. I've got to say, diving. We were diving first thing in the morning, like 7 a.m. We were going down, so we'd have like a little snack before, some fruit, and we'd come back and with like a whole freaking breakfast buffet of wow. Awesomeness. And then we'd go for a late morning dive, and then we'd come back for this awesomeness lunch, and then we'd go for an afternoon dive and come back for an awesomeness dinner, and then we go for a night dive. So
wow.
3-4 dives a day over 7 days of diving was extraordinary. And we got to see probably, well, for me, the most extraordinary corals, the most extraordinary fish life I've ever seen, other than watching freaking National Geographic when they do those amazing, like full-on, photos and videos of them going down and dropping down these amazing crevices and into these like deep sort of cave holes and stuff like it was so rich. I've got to say, I've never seen such richness in all of my life with what was going on in between these two islands, or Rakatobi Islands and wow. Flores, and we're traveling a few hundred kilometers on the boat. So at night the boat's traveling, and then in the morning we're at the next spot and next spot. And one thing which was amazing for me was just the care that's being taken for the area. It's supposedly the richest area of fish life in the world, and certainly it's for me, and I believe as I would rank it, number 2 in the world for coral life. So it's one of the biggest areas on our planet for all of that, and there's it's a nature reserve. The whole thing's a nature reserve, and it's protected as much as they can. Of course, it's a massive area, and there's just no one there. There's like literally we've traveled for a week and we saw not one other diver the whole way. There's so
quarantine
much.
Right there.
Exactly. So that was the trip. It was extraordinary to spend that much time with people.
And that's where you said you're going to always go back to, right? That's the place that you're going to go every year.
Well, there's lots of different places around there, and there's no way to see all of them in one trip. There's like literally, I could spend my whole life. I've got the diving instructor, I call him my brother Graham. He's been doing this for 22 years, taking people over there and to the other, a few other islands around there. And he said, it's impossible to ever see the fish life and the corals and the reefs and all that type of thing in one go. Besides the fact that every time you go down, it's a whole new adventure anyway. So it's quite extraordinary. I was blown away. I was in tears of gratitude on some mornings. I was just this overwhelm of what nature still has to represent, and that kind of came off the back of a trip. One of the first major trips I've done, which was giving me this new commitment, which was a 6 days in the Austrian Alps, which I did in June last year, with a couple of friends of mine, and we just cycled in the Alps, which is in the nature reserve as well, and again, just such overwhelm in nature and the cleanness of the waters, and being at 2,500 meters, almost every day cycling up there and just being part of nature. Really is an experience that I've now, I've reconnected with my addiction of being in nature, which I got from being in South Africa and living in South Africa and growing up in South Africa and going into the nature reserves and being in nature.
I'm a little bit addicted to South Africa myself.
So that's the plan. That's the plan. I've since done other mountain biking ones, and now this one I'm Estelle and I are just planning quietly.
I love it. I love it.
So if we have some friends who want to come quarantine with us, there's probably space for about 8 people on the boat.
Well, they'll need to be in Indonesia first.
Just saying.
They have to be in Indonesia to be able to do that with you.
No, you can get to Indonesia.
Can we get there? Oh, we can get there. We just come. Oh,
yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah. You just need a little certificate that says that you're good from your doctor. That's all.
Oh, wow. Okay. We'll put the dates on this Facebook on the Facebook Live. It'll be too late for the episode, I think, but on the live, if anyone's really wanting to go self-quarantine and go diving, mastermind, like while you're there. No laptops though, right? It's a you.
Well, it's not.
Or are you gonna
there's not
work
a
this
lot
time?
of point, to be honest. There's not a lot of point because you don't have a lot of places to connect. Yeah. It's just like you're in the middle of these seas and there's no connections. So
amazing.
So yes, you do have moments of being able to connect in and send some Facebook updates and stuff like that. But that take the time out.
So what do you think doing that practice and having that commitment now for yourself has done for you, both as a business owner, but as a human, by getting into nature? Like, because I know a lot of people, they go, oh, I've got my holidays. They still go busy places. They're not really taking that time to connect in with nature or to do that practice.
Well, to be honest, part of it's actually a commitment to myself. A big part of it's a commitment to myself. And as I've been kind of playing that game and creating the value of self first, putting that really at the highest level of values that I have in my life, that has shifted my reality of life and my previous reality of business, which was I have to wake up early, I have to get in the car, I have to drive to the office and go do all my things, and there's never enough time. I'm always chasing, that little hour hand, and running around, and like it's always last minute, and it's always now really the more I've found I give time and effort and space for really nurturing self, the time is made by all the forces that are around me to make it easy for me to do that. Everything shifts and changes and moves around me rather than me chasing the things, because I'm now committed to that first. And whilst you're committed to something that's going to raise your vibration and bring you, allow you to become more of the light of who you are as a human being, the more
rather than human doing,
everything's going to shift around you to support it. And it just does. It just does, is my experience. And that means that, Estelle and I, we have this commitment of 4 hours, a 4 hour day work day maximum, so that we have a real focus when we do get together and we do work. So when we in work, we only do 4 hours a day, and that's not obviously every day, but that's the focus. And what we do is we fit things that are high value to ourselves around those, so that you can't, you're not going to go past those 4 hours, because now your next commitment is to self again.
Yeah.
And
how do you get over, for me, and I think old you might have been similar, the soul-sucking search for significance that makes us feel like we have to fucking grind after we eat Gary Vee for breakfast. Like, I teach this with Life Engineered, yet on Friday I did 13 and a half hours. On Wednesday I did 19 hours. Like, I was in the zone and I loved it. I have an accountability buddy. The reason why I know how many hours is because I have to report into my accountability buddy. But I know the importance of this, but there's sometimes that, whether it's the ego or what the fuck it is, that just, why? How do you deal with it? How did you overcome it?
Well, I do the same. I have days where I'm just there and I'm focused and stuff like that. And quite often, to be honest, it's when myself and my partner are actually away and we're actually taking time out for ourselves. That's where I'll actually do so much more. But that's actually a commitment to self as well, in that moment, because I go, you know what, I really want to do this. And And I guess it's not about making it right or wrong. It's about going, that's okay. I can do that. And is that something that is sustainable? And I go, absolutely not. Where in the past I would have absolutely kept pushing every day. I would be doing, 10, 12-hour days every day. I'd go to bed at midnight almost every single night. And that was just my life. And I've done that for 30 years. So it's a pretty massive habit to kind of get out of.
I'm struggling with it right now. And I teach, they say you teach what you most need to learn, but I still haven't managed to break the cycle.
Yeah. And how many years have you been in it that way?
21.
There we go. So nothing to be hard on yourself. It's 21 years of habitual programming prior to that as well. So probably 30, 40 years of
actually, if I think back, when I was in high school, I also nannied and worked at a restaurant and a cafe and was a lifeguard. So like get up, surf, go to school, come home, go nanny until midnight. Yeah. Yeah.
I think part of it for me, and again, I find I catch myself as well. And number one is not to beat yourself up about it. Number two is just to identify what's going on, what's the predominant thoughts and what's the predominant drive in that moment. So when I don't do a lot of, this is when I catch myself, is when I don't do my morning practice and I don't actually get out and actually do some physical work and actually get out of my head. I'll get caught up in my head. And then what happens is I get caught up straight away into that old program. And the old program running is always a lack program. It's like I don't have enough time. I need to get all this stuff done, and it's like it's all in my head. We need to make more money this week, and it's really interesting because now I see all of those little patterns showing up when I do catch myself in there, and it's okay that those programs are there, and my opportunity is to, number one, commit to self more. And then listen and see when those show up, so that I can make a different decision. But there's a process, and there's certainly time I believe it's going to take for me to get to a place where I'm going to go, oh yes, I'm now Buddha. But that's not going to, I'm probably not going to go there.
I just I got hit with it with a slap in the face while you were talking. A bit of a oh, that's what that is. That's what I'm doing. The self. Oh fuck. The worthiness, and I think the justification, especially because I feel so blessed right now with my situation. I feel like I need to be earning it more, and that I'm not deserving or not worthy, and need to be doing more, and I need to be doing more to help other people. And I'm spending a lot of time doing pro bono coaching every single day. I'm running a pro bono mindset mentoring call for an hour, but obviously you know what it's like if you're doing that for an hour, then you've got all of whoever accounts to something. I'm following them up in the middle of the day, I'm creating training, I'm rushing to get things to them to be able to serve them. I'm giving so much away, which means that the stuff that I have to do that's also paid or whatever that's just what's stacking to result in the 1 a.m.s and things like that. Interesting. But definitely the routine. I am a big thing with the routine. If I don't do that morning routine, then the day just owns the shit out of me.
Yeah, and we just get caught up in the routine itself. Is a cleansing of the mind. It's awakening of the body. It's activating the body. It's getting into the body. It's an opportunity to sit in quiet and meditate, or to sit in nature and just be in absolute overwhelming gratitude of what is around us. Whatever it is, like those things, when you start it like that, just shift and change your whole day, and shift and change your whole energy, and it creates that consciousness that you're looking for. That person who's your the observer of your life is more present, and can observe it quicker. And that's all it is. And that's all it is for me. And that's all I can kind of speak to, I guess. But yeah, I get the worthiness too. We live in Bali, have been here for the last 10 years. And yeah, for the first 5 or 6 years of that, I worked my butt off because I think I had I feel I had the same sort of stuff showing up around being worthy to be here and my own personal worthiness. And there's definitely been a driver of success and money in my life in big ways. And I've had big crashes as a result of it in 2008, 2009. And so I know that's my, some of the biggest things I have been pushing hard in my life and not listening to the signs and following the signs, which were the quieter whispers that the universe was giving me. So I know that that's still there, even though, it's 10 years ago now. It's still, there's still elements, like it's still part of me. They say, when you get injured or you take a fall, something like that, and you cut yourself or you break something, that can heal, but the scars are still there, and you can still see them and feel them. And sometimes there's still pain around them. Like I've got metal plates inside of me, and I feel the pain from the injuries still, and that's still in the whole mind and in the way that the behaviors and programs show up. The scars of those are still there.
Yeah, they're still there, and you've got to work on them to even get them to 100%. Well, you never get them back to 100% really, but you need to work on them. And if you just try to ignore it, then it doesn't go anywhere either.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, exactly.
Let's switch gears a bit. Well, it's not switch gears. I want to talk about the blessing in bankruptcy and bouncing back from bankruptcy.
Well, I would say that the blessing in bankruptcy is, for me, was the Mack truck. And I don't, most people have heard about, the feather, the brick, and then the Mack truck. And,
the fucking freight train.
Or the freight train. If the Mack truck wasn't hard enough, you'll send the freight train.
I had to receive a freight train.
Exactly. When the ego is running rife and in control of this, and a lot of it's to do with our the circumstances that we grew up in and schooling and all that type of thing. Everything kind of programmed us to kind of show up in this way. And certainly in South Africa, status was a big thing. The car you drove and the house you had and all of the stuff was a really big thing. And that was my grounding. And I'm sure that's very similar in other countries as well. So with that in place, I was definitely getting lots of feathers coming up, and I got a few bricks along the way as well, where I had business partners come in, and I had like a number of those in my past where business partners have come in, and I've invited them in, and they've literally turned out to be the absolutely worst partner I could have chosen. For the time I realized that they were the worst. But at the time when I chose them, they were exactly what I was looking for. So yeah, I had lots of those bricks where I've had to kind of just walk away from different businesses and go, okay, well, that was a real interesting brick in my life. But what was really nice, what was really beautiful about the Mack truck in this case, which was the global financial crisis, was that I had got to a place where the ego was so big that I couldn't see anything else. I was just like so greedy in taking whatever money or any flow I had was just to go off and get something else, and then one business wasn't enough, so we had to have two, and then two wasn't enough, so we had a third one with the property development, then like that one, so we had another one. I had 5 different businesses in full. Some in total startup and some in far more developed. But I had 5 businesses that I was running my arse off trying to build and push forward, and putting myself in very, very put myself in positions financially that would, even though I had all of the knowledge on how to set up the structures and all that, and I had a lot of that type of thing, I still made mistakes just to push through and just get deals done and stuff like that. And I got signed personally on a certain loan or whatever else. And it was that humbling that I really needed to get. And clearly the bricks and the feathers weren't helping. They weren't doing their job. I was just pushing forward again, like, that guy was terrible. I'll start my own business. I'll go in competition with them. Like literally, like this was the attitude. Like I just keep pushing and pushing. So the humbling of it was that all of it was taken away. Not that I actually had any of it anyway, but it was what my perception was, that it was all taken away from me, which was great. And in that moment, I had to make a different decision. And the conversation I had to have with myself was, what do I need to do to let all of this go and totally unattach to the humility of what I felt was going to be kind of put on me. I really felt that humility and shame and all that type of thing, that people would kind of, perceive me as this other failure of a person. And I had to do that because I had a beautiful mentor at the time, and he gave me an ultimatum on the telephone. He said, and his name's Roy McDonald. He's a beautiful human being. If anybody who here in Australia needs some help with finances, he's an extraordinary human being like that. He was on the phone to me and he said, John, and you're screaming on the phone like he's the most calm human being, and you're screaming on the phone to me saying, John, if you don't let go of this stuff right now, number one, you'll never hear from me again. I will not call you. I will not mention you any further. And that was like, holy shit. And he said, what else will happen is I'm also speaking to your wife, and you will have no family because they'll leave. And I was like, oh my God. And I was in tears, and I was in breakdown. I was almost lying in fetus position after that call of just trying to tear this out of me, all this ego that was holding on to the stuff it thought was important to who I was, because all of this stuff was what, my perception was what made me up. Like this was me. This is like this guy who's just whatever. So
I thought I was my Lotus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, who am I if I am not the girl that drives the orange Lotus and wears pinstripe suits and totes Prada bags? Like, who the fuck am I?
Exactly. So in that ability to do that, and then going pretty much down a very spiritual, diving deep into a spiritual, let's call it a rabbit hole of self, finding out who I actually was, like this self-inquiry, which has really taken me the last 10 years, which I've now been in Bali, because after that I pretty much packed everything up. I sold whatever I could and had a backpack. And I remember actually the big thing which was so amazing. I'm standing in the airport and I'm about to board the plane to Bali, which I'm now leaving Australia. And I had this moment which was like this overwhelming moment where I just realized everything that I'd been chasing and been pushing, because I had all of these debts and all of these loans and all of these things I had to pay every single month. I realized that they were all gone. And I had no more financial responsibility to anyone. And that on its own was the most freeing moment, I think, of my whole life. And I made a bit of a pledge to myself at that time, and that it's shifting now, but at that time I made a pledge to myself that I would, number one, I would go back and I'd rebuild myself. I'd rebuild a home. I would make sure that I financially own that, and no one can take it away. I'll make sure that it's secure and safe, and I'll be far more vigilant in doing my due diligence and all those types of things on any new future investment that I take on. In the last 10 years, I've almost done no investment, excepting for building this entire home and investing in this, and totally debt free, and doing it that way. And now I'm looking at new investments and new opportunities again 10 years later, but from a place of feeling hugely stable and I don't want to. It's hard to say in control of my life, but in control of my actions for my life.
Yeah. What would your advice be to people right now that are potentially, facing bankruptcy, might lose it all?
Congratulations. This is your
welcome to the rest of your life.
Yeah, this is your Mack truck.
And unfortunately, most of the world needed to have it.
Well, yeah, our planet has been spinning out of control financially, and the way that it's living, and it's this whole mentality of greed and hunger for more, and buy more stuff, more things. That has been what's been unsustainable on our planet. We can't keep consuming in this way, specifically stuff, these phones and computers and monitors and TVs and more and more and more. It's that's what's ripping and tearing, our beautiful Mama Gaia apart. And that's what's creating so much dis-ease for our planet. In humans, through our planet, is the dis-ease, and the dis-ease then showed up as a coronavirus, which was beautiful, because what it significantly represents for me is the sickness of the planet, not just corona. It's the sickness of the planet. The fact that so many people can catch a virus and die from it, whereas if we were living healthy lives and living in nature and eating fruits and vegetables and being part of nature, more of a plant-based diet and more of a healthy diet, and we weren't stressing over our work, and our immune systems would be so strong, this thing would have nothing.
It's not a strong virus. It's a pissant virus that is so easily healed with, prevented with vitamin C. It's not like it's horrific, and it's only attacking those that are weak. And like you said,
99% of people who die, assumably from this thing, 99% of them already had an existing disease, and most of them chronic disease. So they were going to die of heart disease, lung disease, cancers. They were all going to die, and they probably would have died at the same time.
Yeah.
And now that they apparently caught the coronavirus, now they are dead. And that's absolutely it. It's actually such a small percentage. So, but that's crazy. Good. It allows us to see it allows us to have a different conversation and go, well, how can we actually shift and change our own health and our own way that we live on this planet? And how can, in fact, what is really beautiful, I've seen so many dolphins in our ocean just here, which I've never seen in this part of Bali. In fact, I can't ever remember seeing dolphins up here in the last 5 or 6 years I've been coming up here. And in the last week, I've seen 2 massive groups of them, jumping around, literally doing full-on flips and stuff like that, just in the ocean in front of us.
Wow!
And these are the stories that people are seeing. Rivers are cleaning up. Air's never been cleaner. This is such a great opportunity right now for us on this planet.
What I've been seeing is, even our beach is beautiful and there's lots of people on it lots of the time, but it feels like there is just so many more people being active, because you can't lay there, being active with families and kids. Holy crap, I can't even tell you how many dads and their kids were out in the surf getting pushed on waves today. How many people throwing frisbees. You just don't actually see that many people, and adults out there on their own throwing frisbees to each other. It really does feel like, why did we forget this? Why didn't we do this? Why did it take this? I think it's it's such a fucking opportunity, and it's so exciting, and that's controversial to some, because the universe has sent us to our room to think about what we've done, and this is our opportunity to re-engineer ourselves and our businesses and our lives and the fucking planet, and to think about the consumerism. I can't pop down the shop, need a new bra, and buy a bra. Just can't.
So you fix an existing one, or you learn to
you just don't wear one. You like figure out, do I really need this thing? Like, exactly. Is it essential? But the consumerism has to minimize, like, everyone's still panic buying. Like I said, I can't buy an Apple Pencil at the moment, but it really does make you think, do you need it?
Exactly. It's a great pause. Like, we could not have asked for a better pause on our planet. And what's amazing is that what we can see is that the planet can work together. Governments can work together like that.
Yeah,
so
if needed.
If we actually want to save our planet and actually do all the things that we want to do on it, and actually clean things up and whatever else, then we can. And literally a decision like this can be made like that. And everyone could just co-create and work together to actually make such a difference. So I'm super excited about it as well. It's really interesting as well, because everything that's happening there is also permeated into our business. So whilst we're kind of sitting in contemplation about how we live and all that type of thing, we're also looking at our business, and we're actually cleaning that out. We're going, so how are we doing our business better? How are we actually setting up our systems more effectively? How are we actually going out and actually having conversations and actually working with our clients more effectively? So everything has all of these moments in time have given us that time to reflect and actually reassess so many things, not just in our life, but also in the business, which has been actually one of the biggest things for us.
And like on that, I think there's too many people, they're still in the panic mode and the blame and the victim, like, oh fuck, business has stopped. And they're wallowing rather than either just taking, like, maybe the universe just needed you to stop and take the time. Like, my neighbors own a co-work space, and they're really stoked because they said they've been dying to have a holiday. Like, it's stressful that their business stuff, but they're like, oh, but maybe, like, we're not trying to build something else. We're not trying to do anything right now because we feel like our learning was actually to stop. And they're connecting with their kid, and they're going to the beach, and they're like, and that for some people that is exactly what they need. This is where I was getting caught up, like, oh, is that what I needed? And then on the flip side though, maybe this is your opportunity to do all the shit that you should have done before, didn't do because you were too busy being busy. And it's your time to go and make the systems, make the processes. This is not the time to be binge watching Kardashians on Netflix, people. Like, I feel horrible. I'm like, hopefully the virus wipes out the Kardashians. And I don't necessarily mean like them as humans, but wipes out the pedestaling or the worshipping of fucking plastic, right? Maybe, hopefully this gets people more connected to nature, more connected to minimalism, more connected to what's really important, and less worshipping of rubbish, right? This is the time that either spend the time on yourself, go out, connect, to go inside, or to do the things that you always whinged about not having the time to do.
Totally with you.
Which kind of segues me to the next thing, because I don't have a website, didn't have a landing page, don't have an online funnel, don't have any of the fucking things that I keep saying that I needed to do, but I'm too busy flying around the globe doing all of my live speaking things and winging it and getting by on my LinkedIn profile. I have done it yet. We're going to talk about it, but this is my opportunity to start putting that stuff in place. Yeah. Let's talk through, like, this is your genius zone, right? You help people like me run live events, and you had an epic live event that I was supposed to be in Bali at last weekend to serve humanity. Let's walk through, like, the stress that you had, the shit that happened, and then what did you do to correct it? But most importantly, because we're not like, okay, this too shall pass, but there's still learnings in here about how we can succession proof our business, pandemic proof our business, shitstorm proof our business, but what we can do to be more balanced, because a lot of businesses already had the peaks and troughs and not stable cash flow. If we put some of the learnings into place now for the future, then it fixes those problems forever.
Yeah. So thank you for that, and thank you for your honesty. I love the fact that you're so transparent. It makes
the core value.
Yeah, it makes conversation with you so easy. So the big thing that I've been, and this is my partner, the program that was Freedom X Festival that you were going to be showing up at, is my partner's business, or should I say her
baby
passion project. Her passion project of helping people see a different way of life. And she's been traveling and working and having her own sort of remote work and opportunities and jobs and stuff like that, and her own business for the last 15 years. And so Freedom X Festival is like really this beautiful global festival that we've been running for the last 3 years. This will be the 4th year, I think. Just showing people how to become more free with in life. Be able to break the system, get out of the matrix, if you want to call it that. Get out of the routine of being in the city and having to work a job and all those types of things that so many of us have bought into, and find a way of actually finding ourselves, our own personal freedom, but then finding the way that we can set up a beautiful freedom lifestyle. So essentially, the easy part of it was that we're going to do a live program with a few hundred people, and instead we did an online live program with a few thousand people. So universe is beautiful in doing that. Of course, we went from a paid event to a free event, which helped us get far more people. And we could have made it a small token donation or whatever else, or we could have actually made it a paid event as well, which we do with some of our clients. But in that moment, we decided that it was only 2 weeks away from the program. Let's do something that still serves humanity, that still serves the planet, that still gets the message out, and let's see how many people we can impact. So we turned it into a 3-day live online program. We ran multiple stages, which were run in different Zoom rooms. We had I think we still had 30 speakers show up. So, over the 3 days. So, amazing talks, and there was panel discussions and everything else. Pretty much what we wanted to do live in Bali or in an online environment, which was amazing. And we had extraordinary feedback. People were calling in from the US at like 2 a.m. in the morning. People in Europe coming in first thing in the morning. And we're having everything, not just talks. So, there's lots of stuff for talks and mind information, but we were also in a point where we were in information overload. So we had lots of body work and embodiment. So we had yoga, we had really major breath work sessions. We had people doing cacao ceremonies. We had meditations and ecstatic dance and like literally full on embodiment, and of course done in our quarantined little space, and everyone was there and everyone was doing that. So what was amazing is that what we could have done in the live environment, and of course the live environment's amazing because we can get that human connection at a whole different level, but from that shift in change, what we were able to do is connect with far more people to be able to experience this, and secondly, we could make it we could make this information available by changing strategy and saying, what, we're not going to just cancel this and that's going to be it. We're actually going to still go through and go ahead with it. So we that decision to continue and to complete on the promise of the event was such, for me it was amazing, and so grateful that my partner made that decision that let's keep going. Let's not just cancel it and we'll see you next year or whatever else it was. we've got to do this in a different way, and we've got to just show up and change it and make and get and allow ourselves to connect with people, especially now when connection is so important, and lots of people connecting online, which is amazing. So take advantage of that and actually make sure that we are able to reach out and guide and help and hopefully inspire people that what they can do with them for themselves now in actually taking this time to evolve and actually learn and delve more deeply inside of self is elevate themselves. So when we come out of this, you're in a far better position than when you came in, far better, because you've got the time to do this now. So that was that. It was most inspiring.
Love it. What's the learnings that you can now apply for future-proofing your business, and what will you take over now for, say, next year's event?
Well, the question, of course, is, do we run a major festival like this ever again? That's the question. Do we run a live one like that, or do we instead run far smaller ones, and actually have much higher value with smaller groups of people, and have something that's far more personal and connected. And I think that's kind of where we're going to end up going. There's no decisions in this moment, but we'll probably end up, rather than going for hundreds of people, maybe we just aim at like 100 people, much higher value program, etc. To be able to really seek out those who are actually wanting to lead at that level, and then for the people who are still working out how they become leaders or what kind of leaders they want to become, we have much bigger online events which are free or low cost, so that all of them can get in, and they can get in from anywhere in the world. So that's kind of where I think we're shifting to, and that's definitely for my clients. If I'm looking at all the clients I'm working with, one of the big things is how do we number one, respond quickly to be able to still continue the business, and what do we need to do now? What can we offer that can help people still come on a journey with us, or still what value do we have that we can still give out to the community? And I'll give you one of the examples is one of the partners at Freedom X is a group called Nomad X. And Nomad X is a online platform for being able to book medium term and co-living spaces. So it's really for the nomadic people, and they've got hundreds of properties all around the world. Now suddenly the whole platform stopped because no one's running around booking on their platform. So what they did was they went, well, that's okay. What we're going to do is turn to education. We're going to educate people on how we built an online platform, how we market that. So now they've got like this whole online educational side of themselves, which they've been building over the last month or two, and been going out and actually promoting that and having people come and actually learn from them, because they're great marketers. They're very, very good at what they do. They're great, with Facebook ads and all these other things. And so they went, well, what are our skills that people really could use in this moment? Let's turn those into something that people can actually purchase from us or come and get from us. So that's how like a company that's directly affected, like 100%, like the whole industry of travel is stopped, and they went, okay, so our primary business cannot continue. We can't continue in this format. So what do? We look at the skills we used over here, and can we transfer them into a space that we can actually redistribute them into and see if people would like to actually purchase it. And that's what they've done very successfully.
Love it. And I think this is, we encourage businesses every quarter to sit down and do like a SWOT analysis or whatever, but to look at your business different and think about how you can innovate and grow. And imagine if every quarter you were sitting down and going, okay, what if a pandemic hit? What if the way that we do business finished? What else could we do? And that doesn't mean you'd implement everything straight away, but thinking about, okay, who is my customer? Who do I serve? How can I serve them? and thinking about how you can pre-plan for issues, or to add multiple revenue streams to your business. You don't need to wait for a crisis to hit. So I've been talking to one of my clients for ages now and saying, he's in recruitment, the traditional peaks and troughs, like you're on that roller coaster, like you feast and famine all the time. And I'm like, you've got to do something different, man. You're going to die. Like, this is ridiculous, just behaving in this model, like you're constantly on the edge. We need to pivot the business. You need to think about what else you could do. Well, guess what? Right now, he doesn't have any other choice. But he's like, I don't know. I only know recruitment. I've only ever done recruitment. I'm like, who's your clients? How else could you serve those clients? How do you monetize your database? What else do they need? Like, let's sit down and think about the solutions and what else. Because you've built some relationships. Some of the relationships, he's got a 15, 16 years old. They come to his birthdays. Like, they're not just buying your recruitment, they're buying you. How else can you serve that person? So what if everyone sat down and went, okay, what else could we do to deliver our product? What else could we do to service the customers we've already got? Because we know it's so much harder to get new customers and new leads, right? So if you start there and putting aside coronavirus and think, how else could you serve this customer?
Absolutely. I'll give you another example of that. Of one of our events companies who runs health retreats here in Bali. One of our major clients, and essentially everything. Well, not everything. They definitely started to add in the online component over the last few years, and they've actually had they actually have some of their programs that they've been doing as online recordings of their live events, kind of modularized and whatever else. So that experience in actually, I guess, recording, what was live and putting that online. But they'd never had an experience of running a full-on live version of their like fasting programs or their their educational programs and certification programs. And the interesting thing was we've actually had conversations about it, and in the past going, hey, is there a way of doing this? Because they have a pretty high cost associated to running these programs, which means that their programs are expensive and not always accessible for a huge amount of the population. So to get, again, it's like, how can I suddenly maximize my opportunity to reach more people by minimizing through minimizing costs, by minimizing the end price point and all that type of thing, so that we can have more people show up. So the program that they generally run is in the live environment is like $2,500 Australian, and they've just literally they're actually running it today. It's been going for the last 2 days. It will finish today, and that program essentially they did at just below $1,000 for people to join, and they've had about 240 people on the call. On the calls for the last 3 days. So, and how many
did they used to impact when they went live? Like, if they were doing a live event, how many were they limited to?
About 100.
So that's like
2.5 times.
2.5 times more people. Like, because I know who you're talking about, and they come from a place of service and wanting to heal humanity and to be able to help people with their health concerns. So their ability to have the ripple effect is just magnified exponentially by being a little bit more affordable, but just being more accessible too.
And of course the accessibility part is the massive part. We've got people from the US, Africa, Australia, all over Asia, Europe. Like, literally, there's every country represented. There was an African lady on yesterday. She said, I've been up since 3 a.m. in South Africa, and I've been up because this is so important to me. So she's there, you go, wow. She would not have been able to do this program had she had to fly over to Australia and do it there. So there's the opportunity. Like, you can reach people who really need this information and really need this guidance. And she'll, she's like, you can hear she's a person who will become a practitioner, and she'll actually go and heal people as a ripple effect. So like you just see that you see these little lights that you're able to reach.
It's amazing.
I'll take it to the other extent of that. What you can do when you're obviously running the online side is you can then have a fund where you can give full ride scholarships on. You can give people full access to this content and actually have them there, and it's not going to cost you any more.
Did I discuss that with you? My goal with the program we were talking about before, with doing my my workshops and my mentoring, for every 10 people who buy in, I will sponsor someone in. And to do that at a live event is just hugely costly because of the cost of having someone at the live event. And this is going to
their food, everything.
That's going to allow me to help 6 businesses, is my goal, in the next quarter, to be able to completely re-engineer their businesses and their lives. So not only to deal with this, but to look after themselves in the future. That's, a gift I would love to have given before, but just financially it was really hard to do. Like, think about that.
Absolutely. So and this is where the giving model, essentially what I developed 9 years ago, and I say I developed, it was all the amalgamation of all the learnings and a situation and the co-creation and everything else that happened, and I was gifted this opportunity to see a way of doing exactly this for live events, and as well as for online events. In fact, anybody who's doing any kind of coaching or teaching, they can utilize this method. And one part of it is exactly that, being able to give away your program to people who are truly committed to walking this path, however, just cannot currently financially afford that, and being able to either give it away or have them stretch to what their stretch is.
Yeah.
So, because when you have people stretch, it doesn't matter if it's a $3,000 program or $300 program. If their stretch is $300, and you decide to give them that program for $3,000 for $300, they're just as committed as the person who paid $3,000. Yeah. In fact, more committed to the person who easily paid that $3,000 because they had it just in the bank.
Because it doesn't matter. How many courses have you done or not done that you've bought and not done because the value of the money, it doesn't hurt you that much not to show up.
Yeah, exactly.
I've done far too many.
Because
the value is, plenty I haven't done. Plenty I paid lots of money for all the time, but the pain for me wasn't there. Whereas my ultimate with what I want to do, and I'll make a scholarship around it to sponsor people in, is either startups or businesses that are humanity plus and planet plus, and a lot of those people, because they've always been so heart-centered, they don't have the cash, they may not even have the financial realms, they need a bit of shifting around that. But they're the businesses that are going to help us push the world forward and make the change that we've been, that the universe has stopped us to do. So I want to help them to be able to come through this and see more of those businesses out in the world than what we have now. And those ones are typically struggling to have the cash flow, and they need that support the most. Yeah,
totally. So the online just gives you so much more ability to do that. One of my good friends, Joanne Fedler, I helped her with her launch of her author awakening adventure, and I love this story because it represents all of what we've just been speaking about. And her author awakening adventure, she was launching it, it runs for 8 or so weeks. And her passion is to work with female, beautiful females who have a story of adversity, of serious adversity. She comes from South Africa, like myself, and a lot of the big conversation that she wanted to have was she wanted to get some of these African stories out. So part of the process in launching her adventure is that. And I'll just talk about a beautiful flow, because this is what we're doing now with some of our other clients during this time, because it makes total sense. Is that she ran a beautiful 7-day writers challenge to help people really get clear on their story, that story that they had inside them that they wanted to get out, and actually tune into exactly what that was. And over the 7 days, like everybody came along, and there was like almost 380 odd people who came along on that journey for those 7 days, who came out and just the insights and the downloads and the titles and the commitment of these books that came out was just extraordinary. I remember looking at these going, my God, if these books get out into the world, like this, the change that this will create will be massive. And so after the 7 days, I said, I'd worked with her for she had been working with her for about probably 2 years and mentoring and on this, but on this specific campaign for about almost 6 months in building the campaign. And one of the big things was she wanted to, at the end of the 7-day challenge, was then actually pitch her program. And she had learned all of the scripts on how to actually pitch it, and she had bought the website, and like she had a full long copy and everything else, and she literally would read it out, and it was beautifully designed. And I remember her delivering this to me and on one of our calls a few months prior, and she said, John, this is I've got it. This is a person I'm working with, an amazing sales coach and what else she was working with, and the script was amazing. And she got down to the pitch where she actually started to pitch it, and I could feel her whole physiology change, because she moved from talking about all of this beautiful heart-centered stuff to now buy my program. And I had to actually stop her right there. I said, Joanne, brilliant. You couldn't have scripted this any better. She's written 10 different books in her life, and scripting is her thing. Couldn't have scripted any better. I said to her, the problem is that it's not aligned with you right now, and I don't know. I don't feel it's actually aligned at all, the way that you're doing this, to who you are. And she goes, you're right. And she starts crying. And I said to her,
That's got goosebumps.
What if, Joanne, what if instead of trying to sell your thing, what if you gave it away instead? And she looks at me and she goes, I can do that? I said, yes, you can do that. She goes, I don't even know what you're saying, but I want to do that. She said, I'm so committed. I really want to help people. I want them to get this. I want those stories that would not be told. I want them told. I want to, like she goes on. She said, how do I do that, John? I can't just give it away, obviously. I said, no, don't. But give some of them away. And then, help the people who actually want to come on through a scholarship program or through a funding, an award program or a funding program to help them get there. So instead of doing the pitch of where she got to that point where it was like, this is my author working big venture and I'd love you to do it, rather than her then going to, and this is how you can buy it. She said, and to honor you for being with me for the last 7 days and the work you've done to tune into the message and the story that you are here to tell. I want to make sure that message is told through a book, and I want to gift you my program. And whoa, you could see the people in there commenting, going, wow, what? And we ran that, and she ended up giving 5 places away to most of them to women, beautiful African women who had gone through crazy stuff in Africa, literally stuff that would just, you would just be in such tears if you listen to these stories. She gave those away, and we had 72 people purchase her program, and did over $150,000 in sales and everything else through giving first. And I know that we can all do that, specifically if you're doing this online. But we do this with people who do live programs as well. But online, it changes the game, because you just have 100% leverage in that.
Yeah. Amazing. And this is something we've talked about way before all of this as well, is, that giving model, the buy one, give one. And I know from being in the circle that we've been in, we're always encouraging businesses to look at how else could you be giving back. And even if you look at it selfishly, we know the more you give, the more you get. Now, you shouldn't give to get, but that is the reality. Yeah. The abundance law, whatever you want to call it. And again, this is something that people have been saying, like, oh, I'd love to do that, but I haven't got time to put that program together, or to look at it, or to analyze it, or I can't afford the downtime, or whatever it is. This is the opportunity. And this is something that I work with all of my clients on, to think about. It doesn't have to be huge. Like for me, even anyone that buys into my coaching program, I buy them a keep cup from Swell, because A, Swell collects ocean, like for every cup you buy, they collect ocean plastic. But B, that's my way. Obviously now at the moment, people can't use their keep cups as much, but I'll give a tip on that in a second. That's my little way of giving back. And that's just the one part. Then I can do the sponsoring. Like, so if we actually look at our delivery process and our customer experience, there's ways that you can put things in there that can give back to humanity and give back to the planet at each step of the journey.
I'll share a comment from my client here in Bali, who's in the health side. His partner in business was, and she's said it many times now. But the very first time I heard it was when we were chatting to some new people who are joining her business, like actually consulting with her and coming in, and they were asking about the giving model, and they were asking about how do these scholarship things work. And she said, you know what, I just want to say one thing about this. She said, when the people who come through the scholarship program actually show up at the program, they are the most committed and most grateful human beings she's ever had on her programs, because somebody's been on the phone and spoken to them and actually worked out a way for them to actually get there. And if it was that we needed to give more scholarship funding, or we needed to put out a payment plan over 1 or 2 years, some of people have come to do their program over a 2-year payment plan, and we've just been committed to it because we could see they were committed to it. And if they fall off the perch, we jump back on the call and we go, so what's happening? What's showing up? And we coach them to get back on track. So when you spend that much time actually working with people, and actually being in a human to human conversation, and being, rather than, doing less connection with the people and trying to automate everything, actually having more time with the people and trying and seeing how we can reconnect, then you actually get a totally different experience and a totally different response and commitment from the person you're with.
100%. That actually brings me to a thought around the situation at the moment. Like, people are saying, oh, their salespeople can't be on the road, they can't see people, or they're just doing calls, or they're not even communicating. The opportunity to get on and do Zoom calls, and to be video calling, like doing just a FaceTime, doing anything like that to keep that human connection. Even if you're not selling, like, be a good human. Like, people are struggling. We're all in this together. We're all struggling. So
call your clients. Say, how are you guys doing?
Just ask them how they're going, right? Build that relationship. If you don't have anything else to do, you're not driving, there's other things that aren't happening. Get your teams on the phone and humanizing it. But I encourage even the introverts, if you would see them in person, just jump on a video call. It's so much more personal, and it's so much like the care that's in that, and that people can see is just, this is our opportunity to, I think, change how we interact with humans.
Absolutely. This is, I believe, the blessing that is so beautiful part of this time in this moment on this planet, and I'm so grateful. And so super grateful for you too, Jade, for making yourself available through this time and actually building this podcast, because these are the conversations. This is how we can connect.
Yeah, this is how we can connect. This is how we can be the change, right? A lot of people are talking about it, or they're talking about it together, but they're not actually putting it into practice. So what I encourage everyone to do is think about, how can you be the change that the world needs right now? How can you co-collaborate with other people to be the ripple effect? And what can you do just to be a better human for the other humans that you're in connection with? How can you just show up for them to help push humanity forward and raise the vibration.
Yeah, and of course, commitment to self. You have time to put in those practices, time to put self first, do the yoga, do the breath work, do the meditation, start doing those things. Like, it's such a beautiful time on our planet to breathe and allow the not only the planet to have the breath, but for you to have that breath.
Yeah, 100%. John, I am so grateful for you spending time with me. Can you just tell people what is the best way to connect with you? How can they learn about the giving model or anything else that you're doing?
Easiest is to go to our Inspiral website, inspiral.in, or the johnabbott.me website. Those are the two primary places to go. Or connect with me on Facebook. I still run my personal Facebook, so kind of have to follow, because I've been at kind of maximum. I do kind of delete them every now and then, so sometimes I can accept friends and stuff like that. But like those are the best ways. I'm not huge. I'm not prolific on Facebook. I'm not massive into all of that type of thing. I watch my time and where I put myself, and I'm also want to be clear that I don't want a lot of people watching a whole bunch of crap that I'm putting out there. So I only put stuff up, when it's really important to share a message, or on a monthly or maybe even a quarterly basis when I'm actually doing updates for the whole quarter. So you can connect with me there, and I'll be on Messenger and stuff like that. But in general, I don't do a huge amount of updates. I will start sharing more through our database though in future.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you so very, very much. Is there any parting words that you have for today, or?
I love the fact that we've chosen the places that we're living in. I love your background. I love that you're right there living in the place close to your adventures. I encourage people to do more of that. And I'm hoping that will be an outcome, like you say, more people, more connected with their families, more connected with their adventures and getting out into nature, and us doing the work that we were actually given the opportunity to do on this planet, and be the lights, be those beautiful towers that shine so brightly, those lighthouses that others can follow.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you, John. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Barrels and Business, guys. We will see you really soon. Hey there, barrel chasing business owners. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the show. What I would love for you to do, if you feel like you got any value or entertainment out of this episode at all, is to leave us a 5-star review and comment below, so that we can share the message and impact as many business owners like you as possible. Thanks.